You're listening to the home of all things Lindenwood sports. It's the Lions Den on KCLC HD through the Tower and on the Roar Network YouTube channel.
Alrighty, good evening, Lindenwood University. My name is Justin Powell. I am joined, as always, with my co-host, James Zugmeyer. And today, we are actually joined by Aleshia Jones of your Lindenwood women's basketball team. Aleshia, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome. So, James, do you want to give them a rundown of what the show is going to look like and what to expect?
Yeah, of course. So normally with this show, if we do have an athlete, it's going to be about 15 to 20 minutes of an interview. Then after that, we'll jump into all of the current NCAA team sports on campus. And man, we have some fun stuff to talk about this week on that front. And then after that, we will name our 3 stars of the week. And I say every week, hey, we need people to respond to us on social media, recommend 3 stars. It's kind of hard to respond when I don't post anything, so I'll be better about it this week. But without further ado, let's jump into our interview of the week.
It's time for the interview of the week.
Alrighty, so first question, just sort of like a baseline one. How did you get into basketball, and how do you describe yourself as a player?
I think I got into basketball because my family is just a basketball family. My father played basketball, then my older sister went to go play at Oklahoma State and got some big numbers up there. So I just think I was born into it.
Nice. So at what point in your career did you start to become one of the best players on the court? And when did you know that college basketball was, that mindset that you were going to go into, that was your path that you were going to take?
Since I was younger, I've always just tried my best when I was on the court. I've always had great coaches to be able to build me up, and like I said, having my older sister was great. Being able to go to her high school practices, her AAU practices, and practicing with those coaches, being ahead of the learning curve. Got to high school and I had a great coach who helped me get into some camps and helped me get to some bigger college camps and everything like that. So I was able to see my potential, and just having coaches believe in me from going from high school to JUCO to Division II to Division I. The coaches believing in me is what gives you confidence. They always say, oh, a coach shouldn't give you confidence, but coaches actually do, and it plays a part. So I think that's what it is.
So I have to ask, because I know we all kind of grew into our sports body a little bit differently. Were you always one of the top players on the court growing up, or was that something you had to grow into over the time that you were playing?
I think I definitely had to grow into it. In middle school, you don't have a lot of great talent in middle school usually. Just everyone's out there just trying to play. But when I came into high school, I was joining a team that had went to state previously in the years 4 times. So I was joining a team that was already built and had some key players going into high school. And when those key players left, I had to, take over a little bit and be a team captain for my team in high school, my junior and senior year. And I think that's made me grow a lot as I got older, just to be able to be a leader.
Alrighty, so speaking of high school and everything, you are coming out of, Leavenworth, Kansas, Leavenworth Senior High. You were a 4-time first-team All-Conference and 2-time League Player of the Year. Did you get any offers from some of those bigger colleges, or I guess more or less what made you land on the JUCO route? What made you decide to want to go to junior college before going to a 4-year university?
So I graduated in 2021, and if we all remember what that year was about,
yeah,
2020, that was my last year of AAU season. I got some offers from some mid-major Division I's, but some of them took the offers away, because obviously a lot of people are getting 5th years. And I just realized that going the JUCO route isn't a bad route, and I can go there, get some more experience, and get some more minutes to be able to play at the bigger level.
Well, you went the JUCO route. You spent 2 years there, 2 years at D2 level. Across the way, you've had really impressive numbers. You've been a leader on a lot of those teams in a lot of categories. It's your grad year. You decided to transfer to Lindenwood. What went into that decision, and how have you liked it here so far?
Coming to Lindenwood, I think I chose it. So I got, from JUCO, you get 1 more year granted to you, but it has to be in Division I. So thinking about that, visited some of the other colleges that I had previously, before going Division II, and then just talking to new coaches, and here talking to Lindenwood, as I knew some of the coaches. JMO, Jordan Malott, he was a coach for my sister in high school, so I knew a little bit about him. I knew a little bit about Amy Egan when they were at Drury. I knew they were a winning program, and they have a lot of success, and they know what they're doing. So when I came here and I was on my visit, it was just great. The atmosphere is great. The players are great. Made some great friends and great relationships with the coaches and with the players. And I think overall that just helped me become more comfortable here at Lindenwood, for sure.
Well, speaking of Amy Egan and the coaching staff, now, if you've ever met her off the court, for anyone that's listening, and she's the nicest lady on the planet, but when it comes to basketball, she can get really intense. I know I've seen the practices; they're intense. I see her on the sideline; she gets fired up. Mm-hmm. What was it like the first time you ever met her, and how was your first practice with the team when you got here?
When I first met her, like you said, off the court, it's like she's very, very nice, but she is nice on the court too. Essentially, she knows how to talk to you. Even if it is with yelling, she knows how to get it to you effectively, and I feel like that's one of her greatest strengths, is she knows how to get the word across to you when she needs to. But first practice was great, and I mean, I love the atmosphere. I personally do like not getting yelled at, but getting talked to, so I really appreciated her energy.
Now, I do have a question about practice, because a few years back, Lindenwood didn't have that practice court. That was something else completely. Whenever you were at Saginaw State, did you guys practice on the main court, or did you guys have a separate area where you guys were practicing?
At Saginaw, we had two gyms. One was essentially our volleyball gym, but it had basketball courts in it. It used to be our old basketball gym, and then we had a main court. Most of the time, we were on the main court. Maybe a couple times we were in the practice gym, but mostly on the main court.
So then I got to ask, do you like the enclosed court off to the side, or do you prefer practicing on the main court where you're going to play games?
I think a little bit of both. I like practicing in the enclosed courts just because you can always have a place to go get some shots up or do extra ball handling or whatever you got to do if the main court is taken. But essentially, I like getting shots up on both. I feel like it's a need to get shots up on the main court too, so.
Okay, then I think my decision's made on that decision. Because when they originally removed it, it was like a roller hockey almost set up. And I was like, man, there was some fun stuff hosted in there. But now that I'm hearing a lot of the athletes come forward and say, hey, it's a nice enclosed area. Yeah, Lindenwood, I've given you some grief on it. I'm officially on your side now. But I have one more question before we move into this season. Similar to how you kind of went into your high school where they had expectations, they were a state contender. You're coming over to a team that just came off a WNIT run. They were in the conference championship. How have you dealt with the expectations and demands of this program right now? And just kind of what have they been like surrounding this team?
I think one of my main things is just being able to listen and being able to comprehend what's needed from me or all of us on the team, what's needed from us. We have high standards. And I feel like meeting those standards takes a lot of listening, comprehending, and not just stuff that's on the court, but it's mental too. Extra film, being prepared for practices, being prepared for games, and just taking the time to all stick together as a team.
Well, I love that, because I know that a lot of teams haven't quite a lot of teams, you're seeing now, like the men's soccer team has finally won one, but the women's teams at this campus, you had volleyball last year, you had soccer, and then you had basketball almost winning that conference championship. So right now it just seems to be all women's sports here at Lindenwood, and you guys are very deserving of the praise you're getting so far.
Thank you.
And, kind of building off of that, Lindenwood's D1, it's the first year they're tournament eligible, and you're coming into that. So what is it like coming into a program that is not necessarily fresh D1, but fresh D1 tournament eligible, and having that sort of fan base that comes alongside of it? Is it a lot bigger or a lot more intense than what it was in D2?
I would say so. A little bit. Being in Division I and being able to get into the NCAA tournament will be huge, knowing that we're going to play some big-name teams. And I'm sure our team, with our standards, we can make it there. We're going for a championship, so... and yeah.
Awesome. And, kind of building off of that, you do have a team just stacked full of talent this year. Has there been any sort of change in mentality that, you don't necessarily have to be the top performer? You can like step back and let one of your teammates come in, or like if you know that they're having a little bit of an off game, you know that, okay, let me step up and take that burden off of you.
I think it's great. I think it's great having a team surrounded that all wants to win and all knows how to win. I think we're all capable of doing the big things, making big plays, hitting the big shot. As you can see, Brooke Coffey, Gracie Kelsey, Ellie Brueggemann, like everyone can hit that big shot, and it's great to have that around you, knowing that they're great people off the court too. But yeah, I really, really love it because everyone loves the game and loves the basketball just as much as you. So you know that it's hard to compete and everything like that.
Well, you talked about, being tournament eligible, playing against big teams. 2 games into your Lindenwood career, you're playing against the highest ranked team that Lindenwood has ever played at the Division I level. What was it like to step onto that court in an arena with over 3,000 fans in attendance against Baylor?
I wouldn't say surreal. I don't know if that's the real word, but it was cool. Just being able to be on the big stage, seeing my sister do it again, like when she was at Oklahoma State, was so cool as a kid. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, am I ever gonna be there? And then you finally get there, and you're on the court as you're watching your big sister. So it's such like a foreshadowing moment for me. But going into that game, just knowing that we still need to be competitive and that we can compete with everybody. As a team, knowing that we are all capable of being able to, again, hit big shots. Again, Ellie Brueggemann had a great game that game, just knowing that we can go in and compete with anyone.
Yeah, didn't she? She had 20 in that one, right? Yeah. That was a really good basketball game, like all around entertainment-wise. And I know it was really hard to judge the team after the beatdown against Harris Stowe. Also, it's really cool with all the kids being there.
Yeah.
But I think that's the moment where I heard some of my friends that have never paid attention to the women's basketball team before say, wow, look at the scoreline. Look at how close it was. It seems like the team has adjusted really well to the Division I level, but I have to ask, even though I know you're second on the team in scoring, so it might be already answered, how do you feel you've adjusted to the Division I level so far? And now that you guys have 4 games under your belt and you've played against some tough teams.
I think I'm adjusting well. I think that, like I said, just doing my best, doing what I feel like is needed for the team. But knowing that, there's expectations, there's standards, and still do the same things that I need to do. But yeah, I feel like I'm adjusting well, and the team is adjusting well as well, just being able to fit in and knowing our places and everything.
Yeah, I know we're going to talk about the team later on after the interview is over, but you look at the team nationally, they're ranking highly in a lot of different things, and it's exciting to be able to go onto the NCAA website and see the players up there in a lot of different categories. And I know what the team's goal is this year. To win the conference, it's make the tournament. But for you personally, what is your biggest goal for this season, and what would it take for it to be a success in your eyes?
I want to win. Personally, high school, JUCO, Division II, I have never won like a big... my sophomore year, I won a conference championship, but big championship in high school is really your state tournament. Never won one of those. Never won in JUCO. Never won in my Division II. So this year I just want to win. I really, really want to compete and be a part of a winning program because I know that we can do it and win that OVC championship.
Nice. So kind of into, moving forward, going, I guess, a little bit post-basketball. What is your view of current state of women's basketball? And if, you were in charge, say you were the commissioner, what would you want to change about it? What would you want other people to kind of, see in it?
When I was younger, I used to think about, I want people to see in women's basketball what, is in men's sports too. Women are competing just as hard with things, but I think it's gotten a lot better over time. Just obviously everyone talks about the money, everyone talks about the fans and stuff like that. But in all honesty, I think women's basketball has gotten a lot better, and that was from the couple years before. Just people getting the name out of women's basketball and knowing that we can be big too, we can be fun too. But yeah.
Do you feel that that's like the casuals viewpoint, where you have the guys out there that they won't watch women's basketball, or they have those opinions because they haven't tuned in before. Mm-hmm. They haven't given it a true shot. Do you think that's kind of one of the main issues there?
Yeah, like you said before, I've heard a lot of people be like, I've never watched women's basketball, but you guys make me want to come to you guys' games. And it's like, yeah, it could be fun to watch, for sure, the tight games and everything like that.
I think that's kind of the mindset that I had whenever I was growing up, unfortunately. And then I got to college, and I watched some women's basketball. And just from the time I've been here watching the men's team and the women's team, you learn to appreciate what the women's game is and like how different it is. Mm-hmm. So for anyone listening, get your butts to the games. Show up, be loud, be rowdy, because the games are just more fun. And I know all the athletes really do appreciate it when you're there. Oh, yeah. But anyways, Justin.
And let's
finish things up.
Speaking of this, I got second to last question here. So, talking about college basketball, you've talked about JUCO, you've talked about D2, and this being your graduate year, what are your plans for after college basketball? What do you want to try and go pro? Do you want to just, kind of leave it on a high note? What do you have in mind?
Another question, what is your major?
Oh, my major is sociology. Kind of wanted to get into group therapy with that. Okay. So wanting to choose between going overseas, which I never really thought I would do, but thinking about it now as it's coming closer to me, it might be something that I want to do. But I kind of wanted to get in my career also. I wanted to be a coach from a young age, but I also want to be a mental health coach when it comes to basketball, because I think that mental health is just one of the things that don't get a lot of attention, especially in NCAA Division I sports. And I feel like that I can help with that. But yeah, just wanting to be a mental health coach in basketball or going overseas are my two main things that I might want to do after the season.
That's awesome. And we're going to leave it off with the final question. This is sort of our cap-off question that we leave to all the athletes. We kind of asked it in that second to last one of your view and what you would do, but what is something that you wish your fellow students knew about your sport that may not be well known, or what do you wish they understood a little bit better to kind of help understand your game on a more personal and just more serious note?
Maybe that it takes a lot of work to be where we are. A lot of hours in the gym, a lot of extra shots up, a lot of hard practices, summer workouts, and everything like that. It takes a lot of work to get into what we are and who we are as a team, and I feel like that sometimes can be overlooked by people outside of the sport. Basketball is a long season. We play from October to March, maybe beginning April. So long season. Like I said, practicing in the summer, got postseason, got preseason. So you're really never off for more than about 2 weeks for basketball. So.
And I know you said it was the final question, but I have one I'm actually just dying to know, because you mentioned you're a sociology major. And as someone whose mental game in sports was not good, mm-hmm. And I know basketball is a very mental game and a lot of things can get in your head, how has studying sociology helped you personally as an athlete?
I just realized that so many different people, so many different cultures, so many different things that are out there that people really don't understand. I didn't understand before taking sociology and taking some of the classes that I needed to take. So I want to help people understand that and understand that they're not alone, understand that there's more things to the mental health in sports. There's more things than sports in your head, too, and how to cope with those things. And I feel like just a lot of people just don't understand what sociology is. Usually when I say sociology, everyone's like, what's that?
They think gen ed.
Yeah. They're like, what's that? So, but yeah, just all the things that go into sociology helped me greatly.
Well, we really appreciate your time here this evening. Thank you for coming on the show. I'm working all the games this year. I'm going to keep an eye out. Hopefully I get to keep building those highlight playlists for you. But once again, thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
All right, well, we are going to keep chugging along here on the Lions Den as we head into the Lions Den.
It's time to go inside the Lions Den and break down every current Lindenwood sports team.
Well, if we're heading into the Lions' Den, I think we got to talk about the major elephant in the room when it comes to Lindenwood sports as of right now. And of course, I'm talking about your Lindenwood men's soccer team. They were the first NCAA men's program to win a conference championship in Lindenwood Division I history, and they have also received an automatic bid into the NCAA soccer tournament. Now, how did they do it? That is the big question that everyone's asking, that I've heard nobody ask, actually. But they had a big game against Houston Christian. And man, oh man, it was a marathon of a game. Went all the way down to penalty kicks. But before we can get there, we got to start at the beginning. And for Lindenwood, it was a nice first half, a little bit of back and forth, but you could tell Lindenwood truly did have the edge in terms of possession and chances. Both sides had their moments, but Lindenwood as a whole was the better team throughout the first half. Got into the second half, and pretty quickly into it, this is what happened.
As Neely out to the outside, Suarez. How far will he go? Cuts it through. Suarez looking to cross it through! Bartoni! And the 1-0 lead!
And then shortly after that, Lindenwood kind of went into a defensive shell, saying, hey, we have the lead. We know that we're down one of our best players coming into this game. Let's just go out there and shut things down like we've done all season long. And unfortunately for Lindenwood, they played great, but with 2 minutes remaining, this is what happened.
It is getting tense. They swing it in. Okurai trying to head it on. Roberts coming in. It's played through. It's off the line. And the flag is in the air. No goal. Oh, wait, no, they called it in. It's tied. The flag was up. The center official says goal. And it's 1-1. Are you kidding?
And once again, that was the voice of Jacob Stonick on ESPN+. He does a lot of the stuff here, so I really appreciate him giving me the ability to send this stuff to you guys. But that
Great
goal...
announcer voice.
Yeah, I mean, he has the voice for it, for sure. That goal was an unfortunate one. I know Gavin Roberts wants it back. Ball was on the line, got a hand on it. It rolled away from him over the line. There were questions of whether or not it was offside. The celebration was extremely delayed from Houston Christian with people looking around, but it was a goal with 2 minutes left. And let me tell you this is a fun fact on the broadcast side of things. Our director was telling us, hey, post-game coverages, this is what I want you guys to get before the goal. He jinxed the heck out of it. And unfortunately, Houston Christian tied things up. But then we went through 2 overtimes. Back and forth, both teams a little tired, and Lindenwood having a hard time switching back over to offense because they'd been sitting back on their hands for a very long time, just trying to waste time. We go to penalties. Ricardo Garcia for Houston Christian. I've never seen a more unlucky penalty in my life. He bounces it off a post all the way to the other post, and it stays out. Mind you, Quinn Clausen is in net, so he has come in for the first time in months, and this is the first shot he sees, and it's bouncing off both posts. His head's spinning all over the place. It's not a goal. So, Ethan Blake goes up there. Alander Suarez, Gavin Cesar, they all score. Jet, what were you saying?
I was about to say, I just want to throw that in there. How unlucky? Who did you have to curse in a previous life to have such a terrible shot like that in a championship game? Both posts that's a long distance between those goalposts, and you managed to dink both, but not get a goal.
As far as penalties go, it was extremely impressive that not only did Lindenwood's goalkeeper guess the correct direction, not only did he almost sneak it inside of the post, but it also bounces off both posts and somehow stays out. Just a whole lot of good soccer right there on the edge of your seat. Lindenwood goes perfect. It comes down to the end of the game where Houston Christian sent up the OVC leading goal scorer across the entire season, 9 goals on the year with their season on the line, and this is what happened.
Okurai, the left-footed shot. Short run up for the Houston kid. A save will win it. He makes the save! And for the first time on the national scale, Lindenwood will be represented for the whole country to see. And for the first time ever, Lindenwood is OVC champions. Quinn Clausen, the game-winning save.
Just a beautiful way to end things. All the fans there, and the best part of it, all the fans were told to stand off to the sides as soon as that save happened. They all ran behind the net. They mobbed them. The fans were jumping on top of them. I saw some of the players surfing on top of the pile while standing. Very brave choice considering they got some big games coming up.
Oh, yeah.
And they are now playing Kansas City, Missouri rival, in the first round of the NCAA tournament, Thursday, 7 p.m. in Kansas City. Now, I've talked a lot. Jed, I got a question for you, and then we can keep on moving. How do you feel Lindenwood stacks up versus some of these teams are going to be playing upcoming, like the Kansas Cities, and if they win against Stanford?
Stanford's a good team. That one's going to be a little bit scary. However, University of Missouri, Kansas City, I looked at their record, and while it's not bad, it is definitely, it is that NCAA tournament worthy. They're not as good as Lindenwood. They're not. They have a couple of more messy losses on their schedule than what Lindenwood did. And to be honest, and maybe it's just the St. Louis in me, I can't get down with anything Kansas City, so I'm going to immediately root against them. But no, this Lindenwood team has been terrifying to play against all season long. Very few losses, and even some of those end season losses came just because, they were resting their starters, and, they won the regular season pretty much right off rip. So against Kansas City, no worries. I think Lindenwood's got this handled in the first round. It's bold, but I genuinely think Lindenwood has this handled in the first round. The second round against Stanford, change the mindset, change the approach. I still think Lindenwood has a good chance, but Stanford's going to be a much more difficult opponent than UMKC.
Well, I will say this. I'm scrolling through their season right now, and I've seen some OVC teams on here, and I just kind of want to see how they stack up. So they played SIUE. We know SIUE's no slouch, yes, having a down year.
Yeah.
Beat them 2-0 in their building. The week after, played Western Illinois, who Lindenwood also took care of business against earlier in the year. We're not talking about that last game. Didn't happen. Erase it from the record books.
Doesn't count.
3-0 victory at home over Western Illinois. Those are some of Lindenwood's peers. They also play against a much tougher division. So I am a little bit concerned. I know you're guaranteeing a win. But hey, this is an opinion question.
It is.
But you're confident. You're very confident.
I'm confident that this men's team can take it to the second or to the third round. I am very confident. Now, again, it is the first year that we are tournament eligible. This is the first year that a Lindenwood team has actually made it this far. The fact that they have even made it this far is nothing to scoff at. Like, they are OVC champions.
Maya scoff at? Women's basketball pun? I'm so funny.
But yeah, this is not a team to scoff at. Even if their first round exits, right? You still won the OVC in your first year as tournament eligible. You still got that automatic qualification to go in there. You proved that you deserve that tournament eligibility. You belong in that tournament. And, just approach it next year with that same mindset, that same drive, and that same ferocity. Good to go. I do want Lindenwood to win this first round. However, if they don't, the season as a whole is still a win no matter how you look at it.
1,000,000%. I agree with you. Now, let's move into another program that has a chance to just...
championship game on Saturday.
Yeah, another program
Harvard.
that, we're talking about... We're talking about a team like the soccer team that's like, oh, we made the tournament. We got a team competing for a natty on campus.
We do.
They're kind of good at what they do, and they had a nice matchup this week in the semifinals versus Army. Jet, what the heck happened?
So, they were down a little bit going into the half against Army, right? Army just had their number for the most part. However, even Army themselves acknowledges on their athletics page, and you can double check me, they even acknowledged that Lindenwood wore them down in the second half because they didn't get another score until about 2 minutes before the end of the game. So Lindenwood pretty much knew the game was over. Like, you could see it on the broadcast, them hugging it out and Yeah, we won because the final score was 29-22 against the Army Black Knights. And, that game I had a little bit of a stake in both sides. Me personally, I had a little bit of stake in both sides.
Did you know?
I was still pulling for Lindenwood. I wanted Lindenwood to win that game so bad because I was like, I don't know.
We've also interviewed some rugby athletes, so it'd be really bad to root against them.
Yeah, we have.
But
and
you are an Army man, and I understand.
I actually texted them after the game, and I said, congratulations. I'm really glad that, because, they worked so hard to get to this point. But with that, working so hard, they have one loss on the season. And that one loss is the team that they are going to play this Saturday against Harvard, who is currently the number 1 team in the country for women's rugby.
Well, I'll add onto the Army game, because we know the Harvard game is going to be a really tough one. You're on the road. You have to play in their building and an established team. They have enough money there that they have their own rugby fields. It's not like some backlot practice field. They're not sharing with the football team.
No.
They spent their money, because it's Harvard and they have infinite money. They have themselves a pretty nice facility over there. But I want to look back at this game. And the turning point for me, at least. Yes, Lindenwood came back into it. Yes, they took the lead, multi-score lead by the end of the game, scoring tries left and right once they got down. But there was a possession for Army. They got it all the way down to the 1-yard line. And I'm sitting there bored up in the hockey game watching this like, dude, if they score here, I don't know if we're going to hold them. I mean, they look good right now. They look like the better team. They're pushing late in this game. They know what's on the line. Plus, they also go to Army. So they're just intense in general.
Yeah. Hey, those West Point guys are intense.
And yet I have someone I know who goes there, and he is the nicest man you'll ever meet.
Yeah,
and he's not intense one bit.
One in a few.
One in a few there. He's there for his brains.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's not one of the guys that's going to be out in the front line. He's going to be commanding some people one day. Anyways, so they have this possession. It gets all the way down to the 1. Lindenwood are on their heels here. They need a big play. And Takana Kenyepi makes an outstanding tackle. This is something that you would see out of a Ray Lewis. I mean, it was stop the girl in her tracks, wrap her up, get her to the ground. Lindenwood immediately takes possession, and for the next 7 or so minutes, wasting time. Because they turn it back over, Army gets it, but you took their best scoring opportunity away late in the game, you killed their momentum, and they basically ran the clock out. And by the time Army scored at the end, there's zeros on the board. All Lindenwood had to do was get a line out and end the game. And they did it. Just a huge moment in that game on the 1.
Oh, yeah. Came
down to the last yard for Army. They just couldn't get it. So we got the big game coming up, 1:30 p.m. at Harvard on ESPN+. Please tune in. They deserve it. All of their games should be on ESPN+ in general. Contract really hasn't been signed, but somebody go ink that thing. Like we said earlier, Harvard, though, they beat Lindenwood 26-17 on September 6th. It's been a few months. Mm-hmm. Both teams have gone through their trials and tribulations. Hopefully it ends up different this time. But there's another sport that's kind of similar. I drew some comparisons to Ray Lewis. Let's talk some football.
Very much so. They do kind of go back and forth in the similarities. You know, that age-old debate, which one is tougher, rugby or football? And I've got to say, rugby's got a leg up. However, this football game, specifically with Lindenwood, they poured their hearts into because it was senior night. It was the final night for a lot of our favorites here on Lindenwood campus, and one of those seniors, I've got to say, absolutely, balled out, but we'll get to that with the 3 stars. But the whole team showed love for their seniors as they played Eastern Illinois this week. They're coming off that upset loss from Western Illinois. It sucked, 21-24 in the late end of the game. It was really bad. So you wanted to turn that around regardless of what the occasion was. However, I don't think anybody anticipated a 42-12 score line coming out of Lindenwood on senior night. And while that's awesome, 42-12, you won senior night. You get to walk away with your head held high. That unfortunately doesn't change the standings for the season. You are currently 5-6. You're 4-3 in the conference now, and that pretty much means that your season is over.
Well, I will say this: the week before, Tennessee Tech, they played Eastern Illinois, And our scoreline looked a hell of a lot more impressive. So shout out to the guys on senior night. Now, given Tennessee Tech, there was another game for them. They're trying to play for natties and trying to play for seeding and all that. But I just love that the seniors came out here and they balled the hell out. And they did what we've been asking. I understand it was messy at times. There were times in the game where I was yelling from my replay station, saying, well, what? I disagree. And yet, the guys just continued to execute. Yes, I still have my issues. I've had my issues all year long. If you tune in to OVC Game Day every Saturday, our last episode is coming out this week, you would hear some of my opinions. But the fact is, the guys made plays.
Yeah.
The guys executed. Eastern Illinois, their defense is the one saving grace for their team. And you put 40+ on it. That says a lot about our guys so far this year, and I want to just shout out all the seniors. It's a long list of names, so let me take a deep breath. Thank you to Mason Brown, Chris Cammey, Devin Edwards, Eric Gant, Robert Giamo, Nate Glantz, Gavin Hewlett, Kobe McClendon, Tajay Passmore, Jaden Patrick, Nelson Pipes, Sanjay Strickland, and J. Mason Willingham. You left a mark on this program as they moved into the Division I level. You took us from being one of the worst teams in the conference to now being middle of the pack. And honestly, it's not your fault. I think we could have been higher this year because you guys played amazing football in your time here at Lindenwood.
And we're still fresh D1, and these guys really just kind of kept us in that race. Coming off of last year, it's looking like we're going to go 500 this year, especially since the last game of the year is against SEMO.
Could be a tough one.
It could be a tough one.
It should be a tough one. I should say that.
It might be a tough one. But it's SEMO, man. I don't know.
You're saying it like they weren't ranked number 6 in the country at one point last year.
I'm saying
and I know this year's different.
I've got a little skin in the game. I've got a buddy that goes to SEMO, and I want to clown him. I want to clown him on Saturday so bad because it's fun. College rivalries are fun. And now that I know that we're both in the OVC, I'm going to clown him every chance I get. So, Lindenwood, if nothing else, please win against SEMO, I beg of you.
I think it's going to come down to the line. We know what Lindenwood's offense can do when they're right, and there's no reason they shouldn't put up points by talent and by the players themselves. This is, if I had to think about it, probably the third most talented offense just by players in the entire league, and that's because we have our 2 best receivers as freshmen. Imagine what they'll be if they stay. And SEMO has given up a lot of points to some of these teams. I know they had a good performance against Gardner-Webb, who I would put above Lindenwood as far as talent, and just barely. It's close.
Gardner-Webb showed that they deserved to be above Lindenwood this year. They did. Because at the beginning of the year, I know we even talked about how rough they were kind of starting off. They finished the back half of the year very strong, beating some of those teams that we didn't think they had a shot against. So, as far as this year, yeah, Gardner-Webb definitely deserves a spot above Lindenwood.
Yeah, I'm just saying offensively, but coming into the game against SEMO, you have this Lindenwood team that can beat you in a lot of different ways offensively, assuming they don't beat themselves offensively, which is how they've lost a lot of games this year. It's when the offense stops working, things start to break. But their O-line is bad for SEMO. It's bad. They allowed 11 sacks in the Gardner-Webb game. Most by any team in the conference this year. So, hey, it's your last game in a Lindenwood uniform for some of these guys. Let's go knock the quarterback on his butt for 60 minutes. And speaking of another sport where you can knock people on their butt legally, it's men's hockey. 2 exhibitions this week, and going up against Grand Canyon, who is a lower-level team. They are ACHA D1, so they are not NCAA. It's almost like a D1 team playing a D2 team. Pretty close. There's some talent. There's going to be some upsets, but it rarely happens.
FBS versus FCS for the football heads,
I'll go D2 still.
Oh, okay, fair.
Yeah, you'll occasionally see an upset. They'll give you a bit of a game. But if they beat you, it's a problem. It stings. It hurts like last year, UNLV beat Denver. And yes, UNLV did win the championship, but that was a team Lindenwood kind of beat up on. So coming into this one, Grand Canyon, they're no slouch. They showed it in the first 2 periods. We were tied after 1. It was a 1-goal game after 2. Then Lindenwood scoring 4 in the 3rd period. Eventually, they woke up, got the job done. Freshman Colin Ronan, though, He's the goalie. He was the goalie for the first game of the series. First time getting any action in a Lindenwood uniform. He was all right. It was a decent performance. I mean, to go out there, there's one he probably wants back, but 13 saves on 15 shots. Final in that one was 7-2. Game 2, massacre. Complete massacre. 10-0 score line. Outshot their opponent 61-9. And Olivier Hood had a nice hat trick in that one. So that's what you expect when you play teams like this. Lindenwood is not a top NCAA team as we currently stand, and they can just do that to these teams. And even within their own division, we saw earlier this year, Grand Canyon put up over 20 goals in a series against San Diego State. There's some stinker teams down there. Grand Canyon is currently sitting in the top 25. Lindenwood, though, expected to win. They did so. Much better performance on Saturday. They got a 2-game series versus Robert Morris University on Friday and Saturday at Centene. They've never beaten them, but if there was ever a time, Robert Morris, they've lost 4 straight. They have the 8th worst offense in the nation. Ooh. They're allowing the most goals per game nationally, and they have the 6th worst pairwise ranking at 57th, where Lindenwood is sitting at 30th. And pairwise is almost like the Ken Palm rankings or what was the one we were using for soccer the other night? RPI.
Yep.
It's very similar to that. It ranks you versus your opponent, your strength of schedule.
Let's just say that RPI was dead wrong about Lindenwood men's soccer. Let's give it up for Lindenwood men's soccer one more time.
Yay! I'm not going to say that because if we lose versus Kansas, then the RPI was right.
No, we made it to the national not the championship, but the national tournament. I think we deserve better than 100th.
Maybe that's fair, but it's also an auto bid. I'm playing devil's advocate. I love the men's soccer team. I love the coach. I love everything that's going on over there. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. But anyways, Lindenwood versus Robert Morris. It's a big series. Lindenwood 5-5 on the season officially. Exhibition games don't count. You saw some of your guys getting some ice time that haven't gotten any this year. You rested some of your starters. Robert Morris is playing like Dookie right now. Should be one that Lindenwood needs to walk away with at least a split, if not a sweep. Never beat them? Now's the time. Much more talented roster than the last time we played them.
That is fair.
All right, well, that's all for men's. What's happening on the women's side? Because they had a very eventful weekend.
They did. So they're now sitting at 4-12-0, 3-5-0 in the conference. That's still a little lower than what some might, want, but it's still a pretty decent record, especially for a still developing team. They did lose Friday's game, but 5-3 scoreline. So silver linings there. It was a close game. They had their attackers. They just couldn't get the defense settled in.
Can I tell everybody about that game?
Go for it.
Oh my gosh, we outplayed them. Holy darn diddly doot. We outplayed those guys, those girls, those gals, those women. Sorry.
Special appearance from Ned Flanders here.
Yeah, I'm Flandering. That game, we outshot them. The third period was incredible. Their goalie just stood on her head. It was one of those games where you got goalied, and some of the goals let in early were ones you wanted back. You just didn't start on time. And it was against a team you really wanted to win against. So, with that in mind...
I'm real glad you bring that up, because that leads perfectly into Saturday's game, where Lindenwood dismantled Delaware in a 5-0 scoreline. There were 4 different scorers, a couple that we mentioned in the previous weeks as some of our stars. And, it's still a 1-1 record coming out of that weekend, but it shows that they are a powerful team. It shows that they can, have that aggressiveness. They can outplay those big opponents, and that they can definitely dictate the flow of a game. It's just they need to clean the little defensive mistakes. Yeah. They need to clean the little bit of mental errors that happen in those sort of big, those big time, quote unquote, big time games. Because, again, Friday, 5-3. Nothing to, look down your nose at. It was a good game. And like you said, they even outshot them and they outplayed them a bunch. But I think it's the nerves, the jitters going into that first game.
Yeah, traveling halfway across the country.
Exactly.
Also, yeah.
And then going into the second game, we know how they're going to play. We know what they're going to do. We know we beat them. So what do? They just go ahead and beat them 5-0. A complete, absolute massacre. So, I still have high hopes for this team. I know you're coming down to the last little bit of your collegiate experience, but I still get to see this team develop over the next few years, and I'm excited to see it develop over the next few years. Sorry.
Let the record be shown. The 24-year-old just called me old as far as college years. Anyways, it's just hard to start on time when you travel that far. A good weekend, you're seeing growth, you're seeing players get used to the program, and they're starting to build an identity. You love to see that.
Oh, yeah.
There's a team that had a big identity last year, lost a lot of it with their seniors, women's volleyball. Mm-hmm. Another unfortunate week where got swept 3-1, 3-1, sitting at 10-4 on the season, 6-10 in conference. There is good news. I promise you there's good news. I get we lost. I get we got swept. And usually you can't say you clinched anything when you get swept. They have clinched a spot in the OVC tournament for the third year in a row because Western Illinois also got swept, and now they physically can't beat us because we have tiebreaker. So technically, we did win to clinch. We just did it earlier in the season. There, positives, big positives,
silver linings.
And they could still move up one more spot. Now, here is the scenario coming into this last week of play. Lindenwood needs to sweep Little Rock, and SEMO needs to sweep SIUE. Problem being, SEMO and Little Rock are both also jockeying for position. It's not like they're going to rest starters. It's going to be tough. But if you want to move up a spot and get an easier opponent or just a better matchup in general, you got to win these. You need to sweep. You need to see some fight because it seems like the first game of every series, they get their butts kicked. In the second game, they come back with a different attitude and they play really good volleyball and they figure things out. They got to figure out how to start on time. Similar thing with the women's hockey team. Got to start faster. And it's not just start the first set and realize, we're not going to win. You got to keep fighting. Got to minimize those errors. And it's just been their own errors all year. There's talent here, but it's the mistakes that are getting them. So I got a question for you, Jet.
Yeah, of course.
The regular season, it's winding down. Only got the 2 games left. And I might try to check live stats here in a moment because I think a game might have already started today.
Yeah.
If they didn't, I'm sorry. Misinformation being spread over the radio. But what do you make of this team this year, and what do you make of the season?
Look, it's hard to rebuild a team that loses a lot of its key players and loses a lot of its identity from a championship caliber team the season prior. I think they've done really well rebuilding with the pieces that they've gotten. I don't think this season is a complete loss. This season would be a loss if they just completely tanked and didn't make the tournament at all, or even just didn't even get close to it, right? Especially since our very first episode of Lions Den this year was with Autumn Bax. And she even said, this is a new team. This is a fresh team with new faces. And they needed to work through building that identity and creating that team cohesion. And it's hard to do that sometimes. Coming off of people who were part of that championship team, but now have to rebuild their entire play style to fit a brand new core. So what do I think of this team? I think they are doing great for starting off as a brand new ensemble. I think they're doing awesome. This season, while lackluster compared to previous, is still not terrible. It's good. It's obviously not where they wanted to be. Obviously, you want to do the whole back-to-back. You want to win those championships. You want to be the 1 seed and everything. But overall, getting a whole new cast and crew, essentially, and still being able to clinch a tournament seed, I think this team overall can count this season as a success. Maybe not a winning season, but a successful season as a rebuild season.
I think I can agree with you on that, and I do have an update on the game at hand. So Lindenwood is down a set. They lost by 2 points in the first set. They're within 4 right now of Little Rock. The main story right now is hitting percentage is low for Lindenwood, which is not usually how they operate. Currently sitting at around a 180 hitting percentage on the day so far.
Ooh.
Not where they want to be. Currently, both teams committing errors, but it seems like Little Rock can get away with it because when they are attacking and they get in the right spot, they are capitalizing. So Lindenwood, hopefully tonight is the night where they finally clean up some of those errors that have haunted them all season long. They got to have it. I mean, I get you're in, but you got to show some fight going into the tournament because momentum is a hell of a drug.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's volleyball. I was expecting it to be a shorter segment, but hey, we got extra content. Who's going to say no to extra content?
Exactly.
We might have an hour-long episode here today. This could be a record for us if we keep going. And there's another game played on the exact same court. It's called basketball. You ever heard of it? You better.
I think we just did.
Yeah,
not too long
you
ago.
better have heard of it because we just interviewed one of the women's basketball players today, so hopefully you've been paying attention. But Justin, what's going on the men's basketball side of things?
So, while we did interview a women's basketball player, we're going to focus on the men's first, and then, best for last, so to speak. That is a joke. We love both the basketball teams. However, the men's basketball team, they are currently 2-3. This is non-con. They are currently in the non-con, so there's, this is kind of a mixture of some really, really good teams and some really, really bad teams. And you might have seen it on Twitter on one of those sports posts. One of those games was us beating up on a St. Louis pharmacy.
Not quite, but unfortunately, that's how it looked to most of the national media.
Apparently, they beat up on a bunch of pharmacists, a bunch of 40, 50-year-old pharmacists. Anyway, we were talking about how they went into the Bulldog Bash this past weekend, and they did win against Charleston South, down with the Buccaneers.
And I want to add this.
Yeah?
Remember that football game earlier this season?
Yeah.
Where we were down by all those points and came back?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were down by 20 at half. We were getting our butts kicked. Charleston Southern, you guys got to learn when you're playing the Lindenwood Lions. You got to shut us out in the second half.
You got to have a strong second half or you're done. You're done. However, Alabama A&M did shut us down. They did end up winning that second game. So we went 1-1 in the Bulldog Bash, which not what we wanted, but still pretty good. Still beat Charleston Southern. So I'll take that one all day long. And that Alabama game was actually pretty close, only garnering a score of, 74-65. Relatively low scoring.
Yeah. And a few lead changes
really
in
close.
there.
Exactly.
Yeah, back and forth game.
So, again, another game where it's not really anything to look down at. Minor mental mistakes were just kind of there, and maybe it was those jitters, like the early season jitters, trying to figure it out and everything. But, I mean, just those tiny mental mistakes where you just need to clean up where you need to go.
And also just the shooting in general. And I know I was going to touch on it, but this team last year struggled a lot from three and making the tough shot that when they need to have it. Where the women's team, it seems like whenever they need a three, they can just find one. Not able to do it this year. Lindenwood being a really good team in the paint. And, Nenadich has been a big part of that. And you have some really solid guys in this team. I believe it was Futrell. I believe he dropped 30 in the Charleston Southern game.
Ooh.
You had some guys with some career highs to start the year in a lot of these games, but you're not getting any production out of the bench. You're not rebounding enough right now.
No.
You're going up against a Kansas City team. Now, we've been saying their name a lot this week.
Yeah.
Just beat them in women's, going to play them in men's soccer, also men's basketball. It seems to come in waves over here at Lindenwood.
I was about to say, we get one full week of playing nothing but UMKC.
So let's go 3-0.
Yeah, 3-0. Let's get it.
You're close to this team in the Ken Palm rankings. They're a Summit League team. You've never beat them before. It's going to be a tough one. It really is for this team. There's so much talent here. We know there's a lot of talent with this team, but they got to shoot better, and that's hard to do. It's hard to come into a game knowing that, hey, if we don't make a bunch of threes, we're not going to win. So got to find ways to coach around it, and you got to get more production out of your bench. But a team that is finding those shots and is finding that production, it's your women's basketball team. They are 3-1 with a 2-game win streak, and yes, their non-con started off with Harris Stowe. Yes, that was a beatdown of epic proportions. It doesn't count. After that, you played Baylor, who is really difficult. You played them really close. And then you had Oral Roberts and UMKC. Both teams that are right within this team's range competitively. You like last season, you played both of them. You've played them a lot over the course of your program history. I shouldn't say a lot, maybe 1 or 2 games.
Yeah.
But you've played them, and you haven't fared well. Yeah, we're catching W's, big W's. 76-65 over Oral Roberts, 80-71 over UMKC. And Lindenwood this season, they are 3rd lowest in fouls per game, so they're keeping their stars out there. It's not becoming a problem for Amy Egan to manage the bench. She can put whoever she wants out there and rest her players because they're not in foul trouble. They're also 51st in bench points. And mind you, there's like 300 schools at the Division I level. So you hear a 50 or you hear a 100, you're still doing pretty darn good at a lot of things. And both the teams we played against, they rebound hard. They were really good rebounding teams. Lindenwood, they struggled against teams like this last year. They got outsized. Last year, they probably wouldn't have won these games, and yet you look at them nationally, they're 63rd in rebound margin, and they're averaging 9.7 more than their opponent per game. They got the depth scoring going. You got Brueggemann. Yeah, she had a bad night last night. Okay, who picked her up? Coffey, Scoff, Jones, they were outstanding at the end of that game. Coffey the whole night long. And then you look at the team as a whole, Brueggemann, Jones, Coffey, Kelsey, Scoff, all over 9 points per game, and 4 of your top 5 scorers are over 40% from behind 3. Behind the arc, this team has been deadly. I mean, hell, you had Gracie Kelsey. She chucked up a 3 last night. I saw her shooting the ball. I'm like, no, don't do it, please. And she did, and she sunk it. I'm like, okay, well, if we got the big man on the team out there shooting threes, I think it's going to be a pretty good night. And they ended up finishing up that game. So I'm really excited with this team right now. Jed, I got to ask you, any finishing thoughts before we head into 3 stars of the week?
I think... So both basketball teams have their trials and tribulations going into this, but that women's basketball team, I mean, they're looking to be something special. And kind of like Aleshia was saying, I mean, she wants to win one. And I think with this coach and with this team, they're definitely building towards something special. But, obviously, postseason is not for till March, April. So stick around and let's watch this together.
Got to stay healthy. Got to get ready for the conference.
Exactly.
Got some tough teams in the conference. But I look at this team right now, anything other than a conference championship and an appearance in the tournament, and I know this is strong coming from me because I'm usually playing devil's advocate.
I was about to say, you're normally the pessimist on this one.
Anything other than making the tournament's a failure for this season. This team is talented. They are deep. They are well coached. They've had games so far this year, and I'll even mention last night. Sloppy. Bad basketball as far as they're concerned, and they won. And it wasn't a question if they were going to win. When you have a team that's that good, tournament. Got to see them in the tournament. And I understand maybe you lose a fluky one in the conference championship.
Yeah.
If you go to the WNIT, I need to see 3 wins. You got to go deep. This team is so good at basketball. I'm really excited to watch them. It's my senior year. Hopefully I get to see a team in the NCAA tournament for basketball.
That is a very bold claim, especially coming out of you. We don't normally hear those from you.
Hey, what can I say, man? I got expectations for once.
You are riding the high of this team, and I love to absolutely see it.
One more thing before 3 stars of the week. I got to explain myself. Dude, I'm a Cardinals fan, a Blues fan. I got the Mariners on the side. I'm a Bills fan. I'm just used to being let down as of late. Let me have something, please. Okay, we're going to move now into our 3 stars of the week, and I promise next week I will make a post. I will tag Lindenwood Athletics, respond to it, and let us know who you would like to see on our 3 stars of the week. But unfortunately, it's just our opinion for now. Anyways, let's get into it.
It's time for the 3 stars of the week.
Alrighty, so our 3rd star, we are going to kick it off with one of our seniors on his senior night, and that is indeed Nate Glantz. I said I was going to get into it, so let's get into it. He threw close to 300 yards, 280 to be exact. He threw 2 touchdown passes and ran for an additional touchdown himself, making it 3 in total. And I know he threw those 2 interceptions, and it was a little sloppy. But emotions are high, feelings are running, rampant, and the adrenaline's got to be just an all-time high on that one. to be able to keep yourself composed, to throw for almost 300 yards in a game and get 3 total touchdowns on your senior night, your own senior night, and you do that impressive of a performance, very much deserved. Mr. Nate Gallant, you are our 3rd star of the week.
Now, moving into our 2nd star of the week, we have Brooke Coffey of the women's basketball team. She had a career high in points last night and a career high in assists, although no one reported on it. I had to dig through all of her ESPN stats and everywhere she's gone. So either I'm really wrong, which I don't think I am because I did my research on this. Career high in points, which is for sure, 24 points and 8 assists on the game. She is 113th nationally in rebounds per game and 85th nationally in assists per game. She's off to a great start this season. And she's a big part and a big reason why we won last night.
And you know, talking of big wins on this Lindenwood campus and for this Lindenwood campus, our top star, I don't think it really should go to anyone else because this guy put out a hell of a performance, and that is Mr. Gavin Roberts of your Lindenwood men's soccer team, who is on their way to the NCAA tournament. You know, 6 saves in the OVC championship game. That is his 3rd most of the season, and it is right when they needed it. Both saves in the 85th minute were absolutely world class, like, you know, Chef Ramsay masterclass, all that, just beautiful. And efforts should not be overshadowed because the Lions just would not be where they are if they didn't have him in that goal. Because when Quinn Clausen went out, he stepped up, and he's been absolutely baller since he's been in there. And I mean, if we had any other backup goaltender, I don't know if we'd be talking about the Lindenwood Lions being OVC champions or if they're NCAA, tournament ready. So,
dude, he's so much fun to watch.
He is.
Now that I've been there in person a bit more, because I'm usually at a distance or in the studio, I got to be there for the SIUE game. I love the way Gavin Roberts plays soccer. He's a goaltender. You expect them to be calm to themselves, to be in their own head, just trying to be in a good headspace.
Yeah.
He's out here just jawing, talking crap. He was getting physical with some of the SIUE guys. He's not afraid to truck people. He had a play in this game. He catches the ball. There's a man right in front of him, lowers the shoulder, and lays him out.
Ooh.
I mean, he is able to get dirty whenever he gets opportunities. And I think as a goalie, you eventually want to get involved. You sit back there all game long. You're just waiting. As soon as he gets a chance to get dirty with it, he is going to do it. I absolutely adore the way he plays soccer.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations on your 1st star of the week. Well, before we wrap things up, and I know it's been a long one, Jet, do you have any finishing thoughts?
A lot of these sports are coming to an end. Football is coming to an end this weekend. That one, unfortunately, is out of town. But, I mean, it's Cape Girardeau if you want to take a quick 2-hour drive down there. Go support your Lindenwood Lions as their season wraps up. Or if you want to take the 4-hour car ride out to Kansas City to go watch your Lindenwood Lions play in the first NCAA tournament, go do that. Both those games are in Missouri, or maybe I'm wrong and it's in Kansas City, Kansas, which is the worst part of Kansas City.
One of the worst places in the world, actually.
It really is. It's just terrible. Terrible on that side of the state. Anyway, that or watch your Lindenwood women's rugby team play Harvard this Saturday. I think it is on the Ivy League network because it is Harvard they're playing.
It's on ESPN Plus this week.
Oh,
yeah, it's the championship. Going to be on ESPN Plus.
There you go.
So, going to be a big one there. Also, men's hockey. Guys, they're in town still. They got big games coming up. All I'm saying is, I know we're busy. I know we're all students.
Finals are coming up, and Thanksgiving break is doing us no favors on those big projects coming up. I know that.
So, go to a game, see if you like it. But if you're going to go, be loud. Sit next to the football guys if you go to a basketball game. Even if you don't like basketball, the stuff that comes out of their mouths, it's hilarious. It is so funny to hear what they have to say. Someone fouls out of the game, it's the na-na-na-na, hey, goodbye. And I'm sure the AD hates what they're hearing over there, but man, it is fun. Anyways, thank you guys all so much for watching. Big shout out to Aleshia Jones for joining us here this evening. We'll be right back on Tuesday next week, normal time, 6 p.m. And if you missed anything from today's show, it'll be on the Roar Network YouTube channel. See you guys next week.
Peace. Thank you for listening to The Lions Den. We're on air every Tuesday at 6 p.m. right here on the Tower, and all recordings are on the Roar Network YouTube channel. Have a great rest of your evening, and go Lions!